Herdline News.
Colin, you're selling me on Miami. I've never been to Miami.
Oh, well, you grew up on the beach in California.
I grew up here.
So I will say this. The beaches are better there because the water's warmer. And on the east coast of Florida, you get like real waves.
Yeah.
And so I love California. But Miami, there's a reason 1,000 people a day move to Miami. It's very business friendly. It's now becoming a tech hub, believe it or not. And the beaches are fantastic. The water is warmer, bluer, and also, Miami may be brutal in August, but their winters, it's the last place in America. It's still warm in December.
You're becoming a spokesperson for Miami. You're selling me. It's atop my bucket list. It's up there. All right, but let's go to New York because the Nets announced yesterday that Ben Simmons will undergo back surgery to address the pain in the herniated disc in his back. He reportedly will need 3 to 4 months of rehab, but he is expected to be fully recovered and able to return to the court ahead of preseason in camp in September. Now, we're finally getting some answers, but it's also raising some questions. If they knew this was a possibility, why wouldn't you get the back surgery right away? He's 25 years old. Getting back surgery, and he hasn't played the entire season. Yeah,
we were saying this morning as we were preparing for the show. Like, I'm sort of out of guessing what Ben Simmons. I honestly think Philadelphia just wanted to get him out of the room. And that's why as many reservations I have about Harden's future, James plays. I think he plays to the best of his ability. He can give you 20. I'm just over trying to figure out this jigsaw puzzle. I feel I'm being manipulated. I feel I'm being lied to, not by anybody specifically, but this thing now is just a PR game. I mean, I wish him the best.
Yeah.
Super talented guy. But I think there are certain times with certain athletes. I always felt this with Antonio Brown. I know Tom Brady loved him. I just think sometimes locker rooms are better addition by subtraction. I really do.
Well, they're also going to be watching what happens with Kyrie this offseason because he's eligible for a 5-year extension with Brooklyn, and he doubled down on his allegiance with the team, telling the New York Daily News that he wants to put together 4 straight years of team dominance. So they have a lot of things to kind of figure out this offseason. He has a $36.9 million player option for next season. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
Lot of moving parts with the Nets. All right, but let's move on because the Titans selected Malik Willis in the 3rd round of the draft this year. But before the draft, the team looked into other options to improve at the quarterback position. Tennessee reportedly explored trades for Deshaun Watson, but Texans wouldn't trade within the division. And then they also dipped their toes into a trade market with Aaron Rodgers. So this has not been a great week for Ryan Tannehill. He's got a lot going on mentally right now. They just drafted his possible future replacement. He made it clear that it's not his job to mentor him. And now he's hearing that the team was interested in Rodgers and Watson.
Yeah, these were reported, by the way. The Aaron Rodgers stuff was out there. Aaron built a home in Nashville.
Yeah.
So, no, I think, again, not to say they're the Miami Heat, but they're really well run. They've got a good roster. They're committed to running the ball in defense. I don't know if they have the guy at quarterback. I don't think they do to win. And I don't know if Miami has the guy. They don't have a Giannis. They don't have a Chris Paul or Steph. But, again, I think there's value in being well-run. And I think Tennessee's well-run. You can win the division with Ryan Tannehill. And I just think you have to, going forward, look to upgrade. But there's limitations. There was in Miami. They've gotten the most out of him. I mean, you'll say this for Tannehill. He's a pro, shows up, plays hurt, wins a lot of games. But the AFC now is so good at the top. It is so unbelievable. I mean, just think about a division right now. The AFC North has Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, and who am I missing? And Lamar Jackson. That's one division. The AFC West has Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr. And so I think you kind of look at Tennessee and you're like, listen, I don't think we're good enough to win a championship. We're not going to sell our soul, 12 draft picks, unless we could get an Aaron Rodgers. Then we would think about it. But I don't think they're in a terrible spot. I think there's a reality right now. Tennessee, you just keep building this roster up. So when you get the A++ quarterback like Denver just did.
Yep.
One draft, you're on your way to being in a very small Super Bowl bubble.
And when you have that opportunity to get that 1 in a million quarterback, you do whatever it takes. That's what you got to do. All right, moving to the 49ers. They have been vocal about their desire to keep Deebo Samuel in San Francisco, despite the reports that he wants a trade. But now it seems like they could be working things out. Deebo is following the 49ers on Instagram again, just 1 month after removing the team from his social media. Now, players have been very dramatic with their social media. Following, unfollowing, deleting posts. It's become a thing, but we're talking about it. It's a very kind of petty, passive-aggressive way to get your point across, but it seems to be working, and the positive thing is following him again, and it seems like they're working things out.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they were in the AFC, I would have my doubts about their ceiling, but I think in the NFC right now, outside of the Rams, a team, by the way, Kyle Shanahan has performed very well against, had McVay's number. Those games are always tough. They often win, and if they lose, it's close. This team's got some holes, but I don't think in the NFC it precludes them from being in the NFC Championship game. I mean, I would have considered moving off Deebo, but in the end, they have him work it out. If 2 or 3 of their draft picks hit, you're good. You still have the Garoppolo move to get a player. As we talked about earlier, you stole Garoppolo from New England for a second-round pick, got you to the Super Bowl. He's won 70% of his games. You don't need draft picks for Garoppolo. If I could trade Garoppolo, honestly, at this point, and get a starting, reasonably high-end interior offensive lineman, I'd do it. The roster's good enough to compete for the Super Bowl. Not sure it's good enough to win it, but it's good enough to compete. Alex with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd.
Well, teams have talked about this for years. Port cities. LA's got a port. Miami's got a port. New Orleans has a port. New York's a port city. There's others, but coastal cities can often be harder to manage your players. Players are young. They've got a lot of money. They're in great shape. Port cities tend to be very active nightlifes. There's a lot going on in port cities. And so it is, I think it's really interesting why I have so much respect for the Miami Heat organization. It's hard to be focused in Miami. I mean, the water's aqua blue. The people are beautiful. There's no state tax. You keep more of your money. And there's a lot to do in Miami. I mean, Miami is one of the great 3-day cities in America. It's probably my favorite. And I'm older. Like, I'm not staying out all night. But when I go to Miami, even I go sideways. And so it is harder to build a great culture in these cities. You know, the Marlins have been a mess forever. The Dolphins can't get their act together. Miami Hurricane football's been uneven. And here are the Heat year after year after year after year. The rebuilds are quick. I mean, all these big, heavily discussed cities, New York, Philadelphia, D.C., Boston, the only Eastern Seaboard franchise in the league that is well-run is Miami. And I'd argue it's the hardest city to be well-run in. There's a lot of distractions. Now, can you win a title in the NBA without an A-plus star? Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Victor Oladipo's back, Tyler Hero, excellent players. But what Miami proves is that a great culture, a commitment to chemistry, the right coach, defense, and a bench can go a long way. They're a number 1 seed. That you don't have to sell your soul or sell your identity to be formidable. Brooklyn sold their soul. They had chemistry, a good coach, players liked each other. They sold their soul for 2 stars, swept. Out in the first round 2 of the last 3 years. Lakers had a lot of young players, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma. They sold it all out. Couldn't make the playoffs. There's something to be said about commitment on both ends. Miami's athletic, deep, they got a bench, and they demand a lot from their players. In a league where the players run it, and that's okay, since I was a little kid in the Pacific Northwest. You know, Spencer Haywood, the stars had the power over the front office. That's okay. And I don't know if they'll win titles, but a great example of what the Miami Heat are is Tyler Hero. It's classic Pat Riley. So they draft him. They get him a bit of a steal, 13th. And he stars first year in the bubble. Like 13th pick. I mean, come on. You get these kids out of college now, even the really good ones. They don't really connect unless they're a Ja Morant by like year 2 or 3 or 4. So Tyler Hero comes in and just explodes in the bubble. Year 2, a lot of Miami nightlife. Reportedly, got a little sideways. Struggled year 2. But at the end of year 2, Pat Riley calls him out, holds him accountable, rips him publicly. Who are you? I've had a lot better players around here than Tyler Hero. And now in year 3, 6th Man of the Year award. That's the Miami Heat. And they deserve a lot of credit. It is easy to get into trouble in Miami. It is nothing against Milwaukee, but that town just screams afternoon nap and bed by 8:45. Nothing against Cleveland. The Cleveland Flats rock. No, they don't. Not really. They don't. Miami rocks. They just don't have to have a term or a saying, Miami rocks, to feel good about themselves. Cleveland needs that. But Pat Riley and Spoelstra, hand in hand, smart guys, formidable, hold players accountable. And I'll tell you, they did for the last couple of years with LeBron. I felt like they were kind of selling their identity and soul